All. This is Dr. Mubin Sayed from drbeen.com. Welcome to one more show. So there is a law that went out in effect, I believe in 21 from Montana, that had barred the doctor's offices, for example, from requiring the information from the patients about their vaccination status or from their staff about their vaccination status. This law was then stopped, I believe, in December 2022. However, it has now progressed to the Appellate's court. Considering our yesterday's talk about the dismissal or uh, the dismissal of the other law as a moot point for the mandates, it is interesting. We'll see what happens here. And first of all, I'm not a lawyer, so this is not a legal advice. I can't even explain the correct legal terms here. So just an interesting reporting. It was interesting for me as well. So here is the law. This is the Montana law, House Bill 702. And this says, I'm just going to read a couple of things. Here in section 1, it says discrimination based on vaccination status or possession of immunity passport prohibited. And then they have definitions, and they say a person or a governmental entity to refuse, withhold from, or deny to a person any local or state services, goods, facilities, advantages, privileges, licensing, educational opportunities, healthcare access, or employment opportunities based on the person's vaccination status or whether the person has an immunity passport, an employer to refuse employment to a person, to bar a person from employment, or to discriminate against a person in compensation or in a term, condition, or privilege of employment based on the person's vaccination status or whether the person has an immunity passport, or a public accommodation to exclude, limit, segregate, refuse to serve, etc. So you can read this. The link is in the description. This was the law. So if I go here for a second, this is Associated Press, August 20, 2021, where they say, while many large companies across the US have announced that COVID-19 vaccines will be required for their employees to return to work in person, there is one state where such requirements are banned, Montana. Under a new law passed by the state's Republican-controlled legislator earlier this year, requiring a vaccine as condition for employment is deemed discrimination and a violation of the state's human rights law. So this was in 2021. Here is practical law, and the links that I have here, or the sites that I have here, I do not have any associations with them, and this is nice of them that we can use their tracking of this. So here they have this Montana. Let me just quickly. So here, this is for the state of Montana, and if you see here, they say that in May 7, 2021, Governor Gianford signs HB 702, which states that a person's vaccination status is a protected category and prohibits employee vaccine mandates. Effective July 1, 2021, it is unlawful discriminatory practice for a person, an employer, a public accommodation. So this is what happened then in July 28, 2021. Montana Department of Labor and Industry released House Bill, which FAQs, which clarify the government entities, public accommodation, and employers may ask individuals. So they further clarified it. Then in December 9, 2022, so this law was then challenged. And on December 9, 2022, U.S. District Court for the District of Montana permanently enjoins enforcement of House Bill 702 in healthcare settings, finding that the prohibited discrimination based on vaccination status is preempted by federal law and unconstitutional as applied to healthcare settings. So the law went into effect, then it got there was an injunction against it. And I had to look up the words injunction and join. So here is Cornell law, injunction. An injunction is a court order requiring a person to do or cease doing a specific action. And this was a permanent injunction. And then you would see the word enjoin used as well. Enjoin is the verb form of the term injunction, which means prohibit someone from doing something by issuing an injunction. In other words, a court enjoins something when it issues an injunction against it. So now if I go back here, federal judge strikes down Montana vaccine choice law in health setting. House Bill 702 had barred employers from mandating vaccines or requiring employees share their vaccine status. U.S. District Court Judge Donald Malloy ruled that it was unconstitutional and conflicted with federal law. Then, I think this is the most comprehensive look at this. This is American Medical Association. And they say court stops law that barred vaccine status queries for all vaccines. So if you are thinking that, hey, this is all in the past, let me just quickly give you a view of what is happening at this time. So this ruling has been challenged. And so now we are in November 8, 2023 or beyond. And I believe that this ruling of banning this law has ended up in appellate court. So if you see here, in an amicus brief, the litigation center of the American Medical Association and state medical societies urged the Ninth U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals to uphold a permanent injunction that prevents Montana officials from enforcing a 2021 law that would bar physicians and other health professionals from knowing the vaccination status of employees or patients if they refuse to answer questions about vaccination status or immunity passport. So this is the current status. It's in the appellate court, Ninth U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals. Now, previously, when it was barred or banned, this law, this is that reporting. This is January 25, 2023. Montana physicians and other health professionals in private practice, in hospitals, and in certain federally funded facilities will be able to take necessary steps to stop vaccine-preventable infectious diseases from spreading in their offices thanks to a federal court ruling. So what happened here was the court issued a permanent injunction that prevents Montana officials from enforcing a law that bars health professionals from knowing the vaccination status of employees or patients if they refuse to answer questions about vaccination status or immunity passports. So there is, I would request you to read this, but at the end of the day, what they are saying was, when they banned this law, here are some of the things that they said. The Montana law created untoward problems for physicians and other health professionals who are trying to protect the environment where services to patients are rendered and to prevent the spread of disease, the federal court said. The court also agreed that physicians need to know their employees' vaccination status to ensure they aren't discriminating against their own patients. Then, in a statement, the MMA said in a statement that the court's conclusion allows doctors to take needed accommodations and medically necessary decisions to create safe environments for patients regardless of their medical challenges. Montana patients know that when they walk into a healthcare setting, there are policies and procedures in place that will keep them safe. So one of the case or class of patients they were talking about was immunocompromised patients, and they said that this law would put them at risk. And now I am paraphrasing, and those patients have a right to be able to come to a safe place. This is what was happening. So just a quick review and then we close. The Montana legislature had passed this House Bill 702, banning the vaccine-related queries or restricting them. Then this was challenged, and a district court actually barred that permanently, and now that law that now the decision is in the Appellate Court or Ninth Circuit U.S. Court of Appeals. So we'll see how it goes. It is interesting from both sides, and because I'm not a lawyer, I cannot actually comment on it with better knowledge or information. So just wanted to share this reporting with you, and have a nice weekend. I'll see you the next time. Like, subscribe, and share. Bye for now.